Thanks for joining us. I'm Tracy Liu, VP of Channel Sales with ClearlyIP. Today, I'll be going over Cloud PBX failover and POTS replacement with the ClearlyIP Failover Gateway. We're going to start with a quick intro into ClearlyIP, then we'll dive into our VoIP Failover Gateway and how it works, and also talk about how it can be also used as a POTS replacement device. And then we'll talk about how to purchase the gateway and wrap up with Q&A. So just a reminder, everyone's on mute. If you have a question, please type it into the Q&A section, and we'll get those questions answered towards the end. You can also feel free to reach out to me directly with questions afterwards. My contact information is listed right there under my picture. We'll also be recording this presentation and making the recording available. So, who is ClearlyIP? ClearlyIP is a VoIP organization and team of experts that was founded in 2019. Our founders are the original founders and innovators behind FreePBX, which is one of the world's largest telecom applications. In fact, about 85% of our staff is engineering, and our passion is building quality VoIP products, which we've been doing since 2010. We are leaders in telephony, and we're laser focused on delivering cutting-edge solutions that are secure, collaborative, and productive. We're also a growth company, so we're always improving our product set and our partner program, and always looking at intelligent acquisitions to bring more capabilities. So what gives us an advantage over the many VoIP companies out there is our legacy of innovation, reliability, and market expertise. So here is the ClearlyIP product set. Our flagship product is Clearly Cloud, which is a distributed multi-tenanted UCaaS platform. It's our main focus, and it generates a ton of growth for us. We also manufacture our own IP desk phones and gateways. We have everything from 2 to 96 port analog gateways, T1 gateways, and of course, the failover gateway that I'm going to be covering today. So this really gives us an advantage that we build our own phones and gateways. These gateways are built really well, and we sell them at great prices exclusively through our resellers. And of course, today, we're going to be spending time on the failover gateway. Clearly Anywhere, top left there, is a mobile app and soft phone that runs on top of Clearly Cloud, as well as CommExchange, and on some FreePBX platforms. We also have Cloud Device Manager, an agnostic device provisioning solution, which is highly integrated with Clearly Cloud, but also runs independently. And then CommExchange is our hospitality PBX solution. It's installed in over 350,000 guest rooms today and trusted by the top 3 global hotel brands. We also have SIP trunking, which is the product that we got started with back in the day. It's a very high quality, reliable SIP trunking platform, and it's part of the failover solution that I'll be presenting today. Codex is an emergency alert solution for schools and other places, hotels that have an extra security need. And we now include it with CommExchange at no additional cost. And then we also have Panic Button, which is another emergency alert solution that meets the requirements for Alyssa's Law, which requires schools to install a panic alarm in every classroom. And then we have Send Fax 2, which is our inbound and outbound electronic faxing solution. So today, I'm going to introduce our VoIP Failover Gateway. The VoIP Failover Gateway offers safety and redundancy for businesses of all sizes. It has multiple uses and a ton of flexibility, so internally we call it the Swiss Army knife of gateways. Our Failover Gateway directly addresses several of the biggest challenges in delivering a highly available, reliable VoIP service, such as internet or SIP provider outages. VoIP systems rely on internet and SIP trunks. So if either fails, voice communication can be completely disrupted. The ClearlyIP Failover Gateway automatically reroutes calls over 4G data, and this ensures zero downtime for outbound and emergency calls, even if the primary SIP service or internet is down. Power failures and network equipment issues are also a challenge. VoIP equipment like PBXs, routers, and switches, they all depend on power and network availability. The ClearlyIP Failover Gateway can include a battery backup and maintain a call path over 4G during power outages. This is essential for emergency communications and compliance in environments like hotels, hospitals, or really anything critical. Another big challenge is legacy device compatibility. Many businesses still use analog systems like fire alarms and elevators that don't work over pure VoIP. The ClearlyIP Failover Gateway acts as a POTS replacement device as well, and a bridge between VoIP infrastructure and legacy analog devices. So it can eliminate those expensive copper analog lines and replace them with SIP while preserving functionality during an outage. Another challenge is client confidence and service uptime guarantees. Quite frankly, downtime impacts business reputation. So a lot of customers are hesitant to move to the cloud due to potential risk of downtime. By providing redundant call paths and backward compatibility, the ClearlyIP Failover Gateway increases reliability, reduces support tickets, and provides that peace of mind for customers who depend on constant voice access. So basically, the ClearlyIP Failover Gateway serves as an insurance policy for VoIP deployments. It minimizes points of failure, it supports legacy equipment, and eliminates the cost of analog lines. Also ensures that these voice services are going to be available when they're needed most. So next, I'm going to go over the two most common use cases for the gateway. The first use case is as a failover solution for cloud PBX and UCaaS. Hosted PBX is great, but you are reliant on your internet connection. So any hosted PBX or cloud-based UCaaS customer can benefit from having this failover. The Failover Gateway allows customers to maintain calling in the event of an internet outage. The SIM that's inside is a multi-carrier 4G SIM that uses all of the major carriers. It supports up to 50 concurrent calls and up to 250 SIP device registrations, with an option to increase that to 1,000. The gateway also does automated failover, and it has 6 FXS ports for analog devices and 2 FXO ports for analog lines, as well as an option for battery backup. Where other solutions fail over the entire internet and all of the devices on it, we focus solely on failing over just the voice traffic, so you aren't trying to reroute everything through a single device or point of failure. So how does the Failover Gateway work? On the left, we have normal operations. The gateway sits on the local area network with the IP phones. The IP phones are configured with a primary registration to the Cloud PBX and a secondary registration to the Failover Gateway. The gateway continuously monitors the Cloud PBX for availability via a SIP discussion. Then on the right, we have failover mode. In the event that the internet goes down and the Cloud PBX becomes unavailable, the gateway establishes its own trunking connection wirelessly over 4G to the PSTN. Unlike other failover providers, we purposely don't fail over to the existing Cloud PBX. We fail over to our own trunking platform just in case the Cloud PBX is the problem. This provides some additional redundancy in the event of an outage. And since the phones have a secondary registration to the Failover Gateway, when the first registration fails, it automatically fails over to the gateway, and inbound and outbound dialing, as well as local station-to-station calling and 911 dialing are reestablished. In order to support the number of concurrent calls that are needed, a SIP call path for each concurrent call is required. If you're using ClearlyIP SIP trunks or Clearly Cloud, you can utilize the existing call paths that are included with your service. When the gateway is in failover mode, you have some basic PBX features such as an inbound IVR and a voicemail box. More importantly, users can still make inbound and outbound calls as well as dial 911 and other extensions on the local area network. You can also program that gateway to route calls to the IVR or route the DIDs directly to a local extension. So now let's switch gears. Another common use case for our failover gateway is for POTS replacement. A lot of businesses are still maintaining expensive copper analog lines for critical devices such as elevator and fire alarm panels. You can replace those copper lines with SIP and still have the reliability of the 4G failover in case of an internet or SIP outage. In addition to fire alarms and elevator panels, our POTS replacement solution is commonly used to support essential phone lines, security alarm panels, building entry phones, access control, and public safety phones. So really, anything that's life safety critical, you want to make sure that it's able to survive an internet or a power outage. So how does the POTS replacement solution work? The gateway plugs easily into your LAN, and it gets an IP address and provides dial tone from ClearlyIP to the analog equipment. To do this, it utilizes the 6 built-in FXS ports and your location's primary internet, so it can support up to 6 analog devices and 2 analog lines. You will need a DID for each analog device and at least 1 ClearlyIP metered or call path SIP trunk. For an extra layer of redundancy, if you have analog lines integrated, we also auto map the first 2 analog device ports to the 2 analog line ports. So in the case of a power or device failure, the first 2 analog devices automatically fall back to the analog lines. When there's an internet disruption, even during power outages, the gateway allows the built-in 4G multi-carrier wireless link to take over until your primary connection is restored, which is essential for ensuring 911 call completion. And an optional battery backup power supply provides enough power for vital calls to be placed for up to 10 hours. So that's perfect for applications with elevators and doorway phones. So now let's talk compliance. We often get asked, is your gateway compliant? Well, when it comes to fire alarms and other life safety systems, compliance isn't just about a device, it's an ongoing process. So while our gateway includes several built-in features to support NFPA 72 compliance, no single device can make a system fully compliant. Compliance requires a complete pathway that includes battery backup, line seizure, call path availability, and physical access. So that's why we recommend reusing the battery backup from your fire panel and using our DC power converter to connect directly to it. One end gets plugged into the fire panel, and the other end is the normal power connection in the back of the gateway. So you are reusing the fire panel's power supply, and this ensures that your gateway draws power from the same source, helping meet power compliance standards. If you want to learn more, you can visit our full guide on fire panel compliance in our knowledge base. Here are a few add-on items that we offer for the Failover Gateway. We recommend you include a battery backup in case the power goes out. A lot of times when the internet goes down, it's because of a storm or something that will also cause the power to go out as well. The backup battery has enough power to last 10 hours for vital calls. If your failover gateway will be located in an area with poor 4G reception, sometimes the server room is located in a basement or something like that, you are probably going to need some antennas. For MIMO, which is a wireless technology that uses multiple antennas to improve data transmission and reception, you will need 2 antennas and 2 cables. And we offer a 70-foot cable and a 75-foot cable. As I mentioned on the last slide, if you're connecting to a fire alarm panel, we have a DC power inverter that allows you to draw power from the backup battery of the fire alarm to meet fire compliance standards. And finally, if you have more than 250 phones or gateways even, because you could also have an analog gateway with a dual registration to our failover gateway. If you have more than 250 analog devices that need to register to the gateway, you can get an add-on license for 750 users that increases the total number of users to 1,000. This, however, does not change the 50 concurrent call limit. So who can benefit from a failover and POTS replacement gateway? First, education. Schools are doing a ton of POTS replacement right now, particularly for fire alarms, fax machines, legacy lines. And at the same time, they need failover capabilities to ensure that communications aren't disrupted during internet outages. In hospitality, it's a similar story. Hotels often rely on analog systems for elevators, emergency phones, and back of house. And replacing those POTS lines is both a cost saving and a compliance opportunity. Broadcast is another area. Radio stations still use a lot of analog gear, especially for monitoring and controlling their antennas remotely. These environments benefit from reliable analog to VoIP bridge with backup capabilities. ClearlyIP also has some unique broadcast features built into our SIP trunking, so we support a lot of broadcast customers. Healthcare facilities like hospitals and clinics are heavily regulated and often rely on 24/7 voice reliability. These gateways help ensure that critical systems like nurse call, elevator lines, and alarms stay operational. And then there's your typical cloud UCaaS customer. Even if they've moved voice to the cloud, they still have risk of downtime if their internet provider goes down or you lose connection to the internet. And not to mention businesses are some of businesses are simply hesitant to move to the cloud due to the risk of downtime, especially when it comes to life safety systems. So for these customers, a gateway offers a hybrid solution with the redundancy that they need to feel comfortable making the shift. And of course, any business with an elevator is a candidate. As POTS lines are phased out, replacing them with reliable VoIP-based solution is a smart move to cut costs and stay compliant. So if you want to learn more about our gateway and download the datasheet, you can visit our product page on clearlyip.com. For this one gateway, you can click on the different tabs to highlight the two solutions, the failover solution and the POTS replacement solution that I've covered in this presentation. And if you're already convinced and you're ready to purchase, just call our main line or send an email to sales@clearlyip.com, and we can help put together a quote based on your requirements or walk you through the process of signing up for services. Since our multi-carrier 4G SIM is for US only, we do have different purchasing methods for our US and Canadian customers. For US customers, if you have Clearly Cloud, our UCaaS solution, you can simply add the gateway to your monthly services. If you don't have Clearly Cloud, all you have to do is sign up for a ClearlyIP metered or call path SIP trunk. Or if you already have one, you can just add the gateway to that service. Then you add the gateway as a rental for a low monthly cost. This includes device rental and the multi-carrier 4G SIM and service. And just a reminder, you'll also need a DID for every analog device or line. For our Canadian customers, you can purchase the gateway from our store. You'll have to add your own 4G SIM, however, from a wireless Canadian carrier. Then you just sign up for ClearlyIP metered or call path SIP trunk and add your DIDs. So that wraps up my presentation on the ClearlyIP Failover Gateway. How about we jump over to Q&A and see if there are any questions? Okay, so where do I find detailed documentation on administering this? So we have an article in our knowledge base called the Failover Gateway, and there's a link for that provided in the Q&A chat. Here's another question. I bought one to use for our fire alarm panel and learned that monitoring wasn't available from ClearlyIP, so I haven't implemented it. Is this still the case? So just like I mentioned earlier in the presentation about fire panel compliance, there's a link in our knowledge base that shows how we can do a monitored power supply solution. So hopefully that's helpful for you. Are extended antennas available? Maybe this is more of a distance thing. So our antenna cables are for 30 or 75 feet. So yes, we can have quite a distance between the gateway and the antenna. All right, and we also have a local on-prem free PBX with a PRI and no hosted or SIP trunks. How would this work for us? So that's a good question that I get often, which is pretty much, can this failover gateway be used with an on-premise PBX? Yes, but it does require some manual intervention where you have to take the on-premise PBX down for the failover gateway to take over. And you'll still need a SIP trunk from us, right? So for the failover. So the gateway, it sends a SIP options message to the PBX, and when it doesn't get a response, it goes into failover mode. With an on-prem PBX, the SIP options message is still going to work. So if the internet goes down, the PBX still has to be taken down manually. But again, if you want to use it, you can purchase one. Actually, so you just get a metered or call path SIP trunk with us and then rent the gateway. And then that can work with it. Do you have a comment, Bob?
Just, and then separately, if you're looking, how can I leverage VoIP trunking with my PRI PBX? We have a separate T1 gateway that can do that conversion for you. Just if it's exclusively a PRI gateway, the Keep Alive is using a SIP options message. So if your PBX cannot respond to a SIP options message, as Tracy said, you'd have to manually down it. Well, if it can't respond to a SIP options message, the process for the failover is not going to work. So your PBX needs to at least be able to respond to a SIP options message.
Okay. Yeah, sorry, I missed that part about the T1 PRI.
Yep.
Okay, so yeah, just I think there was some clarification from Albert on the extended antennas needing maybe higher gain antennas. So we do not carry higher gain antennas, but you can use other antennas. So that would be fine. Can we use a third-party SIP trunk SIM card and only use your device for everything else? I suppose.
Yes.
Yes, you can.
You can buy the device outright, just at a flat rate from the store.
Yep. Some other common questions I get is, what does the multi-carrier 4G really mean? And what it is it's a SIM that utilizes 31 underlying carriers, including AT&T and Verizon. Some people also ask, when we're in failover mode, do the phones require password authentication? And the answer is no. The gateway accepts registrations from the IP phones based on the LAN network specification. So it does not require SIP authorization. I think that's it. Any more questions? Okay, short and sweet. Thank you, everyone. Appreciate your time today. If you have any questions, please don't hesitate to reach out. You can reach out to me directly, or you can reach out to our sales team at sales@clearlyip.com. Thank you.